India size and location. India is the one of the ancient civilization in the world. It has achieved multifaceted social economic progress during the last 5 decades. It has moved forward, displaying remarkable progress in the field of agriculture, industry, technology, and overall contributed significantly to the making of world history. India is a vast country lying entirely in the northern hemisphere. The mainland extends between latitude 8 degree 4 inches north and 37 degree 6 inches north and longitude 68 degree 7 inches east to 97 degree 25 inches east. The Tropic of Cancer 23 degree and 30 inches north divides the country into almost two equal parts. To the southern east and southwest of the mainlands lying the Andaman and Nicobar Island and the Lakshadweep Islands in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea respectively. Find out the extent of these groups of islands from your atlas. Do you know the southernmost point of the Indian Union, Indra Point, got submerged under the sea water in 2004 during the tsunami? Size. The land mass of India has an area of 3.28 million square kilometer. India's total area accounts for about 2.4% of total geographical continent: North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania continent, and Antarctica. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, or Arctic Ocean. In area of the world. From figure 1.2, it is clear that India is the 7th largest country of the world. India has a land boundary of about 15,200 km and the total length of the coastline of the mainland includes Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep is 7,516.6 km. India is bounded by the Young Fold Mountains in the northwest, north and northeast, south of about 22 degree north latitude. It begins to taper and extends towards the Indian Ocean. Divide it into two seas, the Arabian Sea of the west and the Bay of Bengal on its east. Look at figure 1.2 and note that the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of mainland is about 30 degree. Despite this fact, the east-west extent appear to be smaller than the north-south extent. From Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh, there is a long tang of 2 hours. Hence, time along the standard meridian of India, 82 degree 30 inches east, passing through the Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh, is taken as the standard time for whole country. The latitudinal extent influences the duration of day and night as one moves from south to north. Why 32 degree is selected as the standard time? Because it is divided into almost two equal parts into India. Why the difference between the duration of day and night hardly felt at Kanyakumari but not so in the Kashmir? Because it goes into same latitude, same longitude. India and the world. The Indian landmass has a central location between East and the West Asia. India is a southward extension of the Asian continent. The Trans-Indian Ocean routes which connect the countries of Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia provides the strategic central location of India. Note that the Deccan Peninsula protrudes into the Indian Ocean, thus helps India to establish close contact with West Asia, Africa and the Europe from the western coast and the southern east and the East Asia from the eastern coast. No other countries has a long coastline on the Indian Ocean as India has. Indeed, it is India's eminent position in the Indian Ocean which justify the naming of an ocean after it. Do you know, since the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869, which is in Egypt, India's distance from Europe has been reduced by 7,000 km because Suez Canal is located near the Egypt, and before that Europe should travel from Cape of Good Hope uh, to India, and after opening of Suez Canal in 1839, Europe should travel through Egypt and Red Sea, and through Arabian Sea they came into India. Area in square kilometers. Russia has 17.09 square kilometer, which makes it largest land area country in the world. Second is Canada, which is 9.98. Third is USA, 9.83. Fourth is China, 9.60 square kilometer. Fifth is Brazil, 8.51 square kilometer. Sixth is Australia, which is 7.69 square kilometer, and seventh in India, which is 3.28 million square kilometers. All in million square kilometers. Two 933 kilometers and 32 distance between Gujarat and Arunachal Pradesh is 2933 kilometers, and from Kashmir to Kanyakumari is 3214 kilometers. Sea route and the air route. India's connect with the world have continued through ages, but her relations through the land routes are much older than her marine contacts. The various passes across the mountain in the north have provided passage to the ancient travels, while the ocean restricted such interaction for a long time. These routes have contributed in the exchange of ideas and commodities since ancient times. The idea of Upanishads and the Ramayana, the story of Panchtantra, the Indian numericals and the decimal system thus could reach many parts of the world. The spices, muslins and other merchants were taken from the India to different countries. On the other hand, the influence of Greek sculptures and the architectural styles of dome and minarets from the Western Asia can be seen in different parts of our country. India's neighbor. India occupy an important strategic position in South Asia. India has 28 states, 8 union territories. The number of union territories along the west and east coast. West 4 and 4. The states which do not have international border or line on the coast. Telangana. Classify the states into 4 groups, each having common frontier with Pakistan with India, China with India, Myanmar with India, or neighboring countries. India shared its land border with the Pakistan and Afghanistan in the northwest, China, Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan in the north, and the Myanmar and Bangladesh in the east. Our southern neighbors across the sea consist of 2 island countries, namely, do you know, before 1947 there were 2 types of states in India, the provinces and the princely states. Provinces were ruled directly by the British officers who were appointed by the viceroy. Princely states were ruled by the local hereditary ruler who acknowledged sovereignty in the return for local autonomy. Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Sri Lanka is separated from India by a narrow channel of sea formed by a Pak Strait and the Gulf of Mannar, while Maldives Islands are situated to the south of the Lakshadweep Islands. In India has had strong geographical and the historical links with her neighbors. Look at the physical map of Asia in your atlas and note how India stands apart from the rest of Asia. Do you know, School Bhuvan is a portal providing map-based learning to bring awareness among the students about the country's natural resources, environment and their role in the sustainable development. It is an initiative of Bhuvan, NRSC and ISRO. Based on the NCERT syllabus, you can explore various maps of India related to the secondary stage on this link. Physical feature of India. You have already learned earlier that India is a vast country that varied landforms. What kind of terrain do you live in? If you live in plains, you have familiar with the vast stretch of plain lands. In contrast, if you live in hilly region, the rugged terrain with the mountains and valleys are the common features. In fact, our country has practically all major physical features of the earth, that is mountain, plain, desert, plateaus and islands. The land of India displays great physical variation geographically, and the peninsular plateau constituted one of the ancient land masses on the earth's surface. It was supposed to be one of the most stable land blocks. The Himalayas and the northern plains are the most recent landforms. From the viewpoint of geology, Himalayan mountains form an unstable zone. The whole mountain system of Himalayas represent a very youthful topography and with high peaks, deep valley and the fast flowing rivers. The northern plains are formed of alluvial deposits. The peninsula plateau is composed of igneous and metamorphic rocks with gently rising hills and wide valleys. Major physiographics divisions. The physical features of India can be grouped under the following physiographics divisions. The Himalayan mountain, the northern plain, the peninsula plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains, the islands. The Himalayan mountains, the Himalayan geographically young and the structurally fold mountains stretch over the northern borders of India. These mountains ranges run in a west-east direction from the Indus to Brahmaputra. The Himalayan represent the loftiest, one of the most rugged mountain barrier of the world. They formed an arc which covers a distance of about 2,400 km. Their width vary from 400 km in the Kashmir to 150 km in Arunachal Pradesh. The altitudinal variation are greater in the eastern half than those of in the western half. The Himalayan coast of 3 parallel ranges in its longitudinal extent. A number of valleys lie between these ranges. The northernmost ranges is known as the Greater or the Immer Himalayas or Himadri. It is most continuous range consists of the loftiest peak with an average height of 6,000 meters. It contains all prominent Himalayan peaks. This is Trans Himalaya, which consists Karakoram, Ladakh, Jaskar, and this is Upper Himalayan, which is Himadri. This is Lesser Himalaya, and last is Shivalik ranges. मेघालय have गारो खासी जयंतिया. मेघालय की राजधानी शिलोंग, which consists of 3 hills, गारो खासी जयंतिया, डाफला, मिनी और पटकाई भूमि in Arunachal Pradesh, Naga hills in Naga, Mizo hills in Mizo. Everest has height, or Everest in Nepal, which height in meters is 8,848 meters. Kanchenjunga, highest peak of India, which is present in India, 8,598 meter. Mekalu, Nepal, 8,481 meter. नंगा पर्वत इंडिया में है जो कि 8,126 मीटर. अन्नपूर्णा नेपाल 8,078 मीटर. कामेट इंडिया में 7,756 मीटर. नामचा बरवा इंडिया में 7,756 मीटर. गुरुला मंधोता नेपाल में 7,728 मीटर. द फोल्ड ऑफ द ग्रेट हिमालयन आर असystematic in nature. The core of its part of Himalayas is composed of granite. It is perennially snowbound and a large number of glaciers descend from it. The names of glacier which passes that in the Great Himalayas. The name of state where the highest peaks are located. In India, Kashmir, which is K2, and which is present in India is Sikkim, which is Kanchenjunga. The ranges lying to the north of the Himadri forms the most rugged mountain system and is known as Himachal or Lesser Himalayas. The ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitudinal varies between 3,700 to 4,500 meters and the average width is 50 kilometer. while the Pir Panjal ranges form the longest and the most important ranges, and Dhauladhar and the Mahabharat ranges are also prominent ones. These ranges consist of the famous valley of Kashmir, the Kangra and the Kullu valley in the Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for its hill station location of Mysore, Nainital, Raniket from your atlas, and also name the state where they are located. Uttarakhand. The outermost ranges of Himalayas is called Shivaliks. They extend over width. This is Trans-Himalayans, which is Pir Panjal ranges, which consist Karakoram, Ladakh, Jaskar, Pir Panjal, and Himadris, Upper Himalaya and Himadris, and Lesser Himalaya or Himachals, and in last the Shivalik ranges. Of 10 to 15 km and have a latitude varying between 900 and 1100 meters. These ranges are composed of unconsolidated sediments brought down by rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located farther north. These valleys are covered with thick gravel and alluvium, and the longitudinal valley lying between the Lesser Himalayas and the Shivaliks are known as dunes. Dehradun, Koti Dun and the Patli Dun are some of the well-known dunes. Beside the longitudinal division, the Himalayas have been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. These divisions have been demarcated by the river valleys. For example, the parts of Himalayas lying between Indus and Satluj have been traditionally known as Punjab Himalayas, but it also known regionally as Kashmir and Himachal Himalayas from the west to east respectively. The parts of Himalaya ranges lying between Satluj and Kali river known as Kumaon Himalayas, the Kali and Tista rivers demarcating Nepal Himalayas, and the part lying between Tista and Dihang river in Arunachal Pradesh is known as Assam Himalayas. There are regionally names also in this broad categorized. Find out some regional names of the Himalayas. The Brahmaputras mark and the easternmost boundary of Himalayas beyond the Dihang gorge. The Himalayan bend sharply to the south and spread along the eastern boundaries of India. They are known as Purvanchal or the Eastern Himalayas and mountains. These hills running through the northeast states are mostly composed of strong sandstone, which are sedimentary rocks covered with the dense forest. They mostly run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvanchal comprises the Patkai Hills, Naga Hills, and the Manipur Hills and the Mizo Hills. Northern plains. The northern plains have been formed by the interplay of the three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. This plains is formed of alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvial soil is a vast basin lying at the foothills of the Himalaya over millions of years formed this fertile plain. It is spread over an area of 7 lakh square kilometer. The plains being about 2,400 kilometer long with the 250 to 320 kilometer broad. It is a densely populated physiographic division which are rich soil covered combined with the adequate water supply and the favorable climate. It is agriculturally a productive part of India. The river coming from the northern mountains are involved in the depositional work. In the lower course, due to gentle slope, the velocity of rivers decreases, which result in the formation of riverine islands. Do you know Manjuli in the Brahmaputra river is the largest inhabited riverine island in the world, which is situated in Arunachal Pradesh. The rivers in their lower course split into numerous channels due to the deposition of slits. These channels are known as distributaries. The northern plains is broadly divided into three sections. The western part of northern plains is referred to as Punjab plains, formed by the Indus and its tributaries. The larger part of the plains lying in Pakistan, the Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Vyas and the Satluj originated in the Himalayas. This section of plains is dominated by the Dwabs. Do you know Dwab is made up of two words, Du which means two and Ab meaning water. Similarly, Punjab is also made up of two words which is Punj meaning five and Ab means water. The Ganga plains extends between Ganges and the Tista rivers. It is spread over North India and the Himalaya, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, partially in Jharkhand and the West Bengal. In the east, particularly in Assam, lies in the Brahmaputra plains. The northern plains are generally described as the flat land with the no variation in its relief. It is not true. These vast plains have diverse relief features. According to the variation in the relief features, the northern plains can be divided into four regions. The river, after the receding from the mountains depositions, paddles in the narrow belt of about 8 to 16 km, its width lying parallel to the slope of the Shivaliks. It is known as the Babar. All the streams disappears in the Babar belt. South of this belt, the stream and the rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and the marshy region known as Tarai. This was a thickly forested region full of wildlife. The forests have been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. Locate Dwabs National Parks in this region. Dhundhwar National Park. Dhundhwa. The largest part of northern plains is formed of older alluvium. It lies above the food plains of the river and present a trace-like features. This part is known as the Bhangar. The soil in this region contains calcareous deposits locally known as Kankhar. The newer, younger deposits of the food plains are called Khadar. They are renewed almost every year and so are fertile. These ideas of intensive agriculture. The peninsular plateau. The peninsular plateau is a tabled land composed of the old crystalline, igneous and the metamorphic rocks. It is formed due to the breaking and the drifting of the Gondwana's land and thus making it the part of the oldest landmass. The plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. This plateau consists of two broad divisions, namely the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The part of the peninsular plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River, covering a major areas of the Malwa Plateau, is known as the Central Highlands. The Vindhyachal Ranges is bounded by the Satpura Ranges in the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. The furthermost westward extension gradually merged with the sandy and the rocky deserts of Rajasthan. The flow of the river draining this region, namely the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and the Ken, is from the southwest to northeast, thus indicating the slope. The Central Highlands are wider and the west but narrower in the east. The eastward extension of this plateau are locally known as the Bundelkhand and the Buhelkhand. Waterfall in Chota Nagpur Plateau, which is in Jharkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the further eastward extension drained by the Damodar River. The Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of River Narmada. The Satpura Ranges flanks its broad base in the north, while the Mahadev and the Kaimur Hills and the Maikal Ranges in its eastward extension. Located these hills and the ranges in the physical map of India. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slope gently eastward. An extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, locally known as the Meghalaya Karbi along plateau and the North Chahar Hills. It is separated by a fault from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Three prominent hill ranges from the west to east are the Garo, the Khasi and the Jajantia Hills. The Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the west and the east edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. Western Ghats lie parallel to the west coast. They are continuous and be crossed through passes only. Located the Thal, Bhor and the Pal Ghats in the physical map of India. The Western Ghats are the higher than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters as against 1600 meters of the Eastern Ghats. The 600 meters against the Eastern Ghat. The Eastern Ghat stretches from Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiri in the south. The Eastern Ghats are continuously and irregular and dissects by the river drainage into the Bay of Bengal. The Western Ghats causes orographic rain by facing the rain bearing most winds to the rise along the western slope of Ghats. The Western Ghats are known as different local names. The height of the Western Ghats progressively increases from the north to south. The highest peak include the Anaimudi, which is 2695 meter, and the Doda Beta, which is 2637 meter. Mahadavgiri, which is 1501 meter, is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Sharavali Hills and the Javadi Hills are located to the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Locate the famous hill of Udagamadala, popularly known as Uti, and the Kodai Canal. One of the distinct feature of the peninsular plateau is the black soil area known as Deccan Trap. This is a volcanic origin, hence the rocks are igneous. Actually, these rocks have denuded over time and are responsible for the formation of black soil. The Aravalli Hills, lying on the western and the northwest margin of the peninsular plateau, these are highly eroded hills and are founded as broken hills. They extended from the Gujarat to Delhi in the southwest and northeast direction. The Indian Desert. The Indian Desert lies towards the western margin of Aravalli Hills. It is undulatingly sandy plains covered with the sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall, below 150 mm per year. It has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after they disappeared into the sand as they don't have enough water to reach the sea. Luni is the only largest river in this region. More prominent near to the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of bachrans. The coastal plain. The peninsular plateau is flanked by the stretch of narrow coast strips running along with the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast, sandwiches between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. It consists of three sections. The northern part of the coast is called Konkan, which is from Mumbai to Goa, and the central stretch is called Kandam Plain, while the southern stretch is referred to as Malabar Coast. The plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part it is referred to as the northern Chichar, while the southern part is known as Kodemam Coast. Largest rivers such as the Mahanadi, Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. Lake Chilka is an important feature along the eastern coast. Do you know that Chilka Lake is the largest saltwater lake in India? It lying in the state of Odisha to the south of the Mahanadi Delta. The island. You have already seen that India has a vast mainland. Beside this, the country has two group of islands. Can you identify this group of islands? Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep. Locate the Lakshadweep island group lying to the Malabar coast of the Kerala. This group of islands is composed of the small coral islands. Earlier they were known as the Lakadiv, Minikoi and Minidiv. In 1973, these were the name as Lakshadweep. It covered a small area of 32 square kilometer. Kavarati Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. This island group has great diversity of flora and fauna, and the Piti Island, which is uninhabitable, had a bird sanctuary. Coral. Corals floppers are short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm water. They excreted calcium carbonate, the coral excretion and their skeletons from the coral deposition in the forms of reef. They are mainly of three kinds: the brief reef, fingering reef and the atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of first kind of coral reefs. Atolls are the circular or the horseshoe-shaped coral reefs. Now you see the elongated chains of island located in Bay of Bengal extending from the north to south. These are Andaman and the Nicobar Islands. They are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. The entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories: the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. It is believed that these islands are elevated portions of submarine mountains. These islands groups are of the great strategic importance of the country. There is great diversity of flora and fauna in this group of islands too. These islands lie closely to the equator and experience equatorial climate and has thick forest cover. Do you know India only active volcano is on the barren island in Andaman and Nicobar group of islands? A detailed account of these different physiographic units highlights the unique feature of each region. It would however be clear that each region complements the other and makes the country richer in its natural resources. The mountains are the major source of water and the forest wealth. The northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for early civilization. The plateau in the storehouse of minerals, which has played a crucial role of industrialization of country. The coastal region and the island groups provide site for fishing and the port activities. Thus, the diverse physical feature of the land have immense future possibility of development. Peninsula. Mountain ranges in east part of India formed its boundary with the Myanmar are collectively called Purvanchal. The western coast strip south of Goa is referred to as Konkan. The highest peak in the eastern Ghats is Mahendgiri. सब क्वेश्चंस इजी होते हैं 9th क्लास के क्वेश्चंस. Drainage. The term drainage describes the river system of an area. Look at the physical map. You will notice that a small stream flowing from a different direction come together to form the main river, which ultimately drains into a larger water body such as lake or the sea or an ocean. The area drained by a single river system is called the drainage basin. A closer observation on the map will indicate that any elevated area such as mountain or uplands separates two drainage basins such as uplands is known as water divide. Do you know the world's largest drainage basin is of the Amazon River? Has the largest basin in India, the Ganga. Drainage system in India. The drainage system of India are mainly controlled by the broad reef features of the subcontinent. Accordingly, the Indian rivers are divided into two major groups, the Himalayan rivers and the peninsular rivers. Apart from originating from the two major physiographic regions of India, the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers are different from each of others in many ways. Most of the Himalayan rivers are perennial. It means that they have water throughout the year. These rivers receive water from the rain as well as from the melted snow from the lofty mountains, and two major Himalayan rivers, the Indus and the Brahmaputra, originated from north of the mountain ranges. They have cut through the mountains, making gorge. The Himalayan ranges have long courses from their source to the sea. They perform intensive erosional activity in their upper courses and carry huge loads of slates and sands. In the middle and the lower courses, these rivers form meanders, oxbow lakes, and many other decompositional features in their food plains. They also have well developed deltas. The larger number of peninsular rivers are seasonal as their flow is dependent on rainfall. During the dry season, even the large rivers have reduced flow of water in their channel. The peninsular rivers have shorter and the shallower courses as compared to their Himalayan counterparts. However, some of them originated in the central highlands and flow towards the west. You can identify two such large rivers. Most of the rivers of Peninsula India originate in the Western Ghats and flow towards the Bay of Bengal. The Himalayan rivers. The major Himalayan rivers are the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. These rivers are long and are joined by many large and important tributaries. A large along with its tributaries are called a river system. The Indus River System. In the river Indus rises in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar, flowing west. It enters India in the Ladakh. It forms a picturesque gorge in these parts. Several tributaries, the Jaskar and Numbra and Shok and the Huraza, join it in the Kashmir region. The Indus flow through Baltistan and Gilgit and merge from the mountains at Athok. The Satluj, the Beas, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Jhelum joins together to enter the Indus near the Milkot in Pakistan. Beyond this, the Indus flows southwards, eventually reaching the Arabian Sea east of the Karachi. The Indus plain has a very gentle slope with a total length of 2,900 km. The Indus is one of the longest rivers of the world. A little over a third of the Indus basin is located in India, Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and the Punjab, and the rest in the Pakistan. Do you know, according to regulation of the India's Water Treaty in 1960 signed between India and Pakistan, India can use only 20% of the total water carried by the Indus river system. This water is used for irrigation in Punjab, Haryana and the southern and the western part of the Rajasthan, which is Indira Gandhi Canal. The Ganga river system. The headwaters of the Gangas, called the Bhagirathi, is fed by the Gangotri glaciers, which is Uttarakhand, and is joined by the Alaknanda as the Devprayag in Uttarakhand. At Haridwar, the Ganga emerges from the mountains onto the plains. It is Indus and it is Brahmaputra, which is called Twaswangpur river in China, which is originated from Mansarovar, and its tributaries are Ravi, Jhelum, Ravi, Vyas, Satluj, and river Ganga, which originated from Devprayag and fall into Bay of Bengal. The Ganga is joined by many tributaries from the Himalayas, a few of them being major rivers such as Yamuna, the Ghagra and the Gandak and the Koshi. The river Yamuna arises from the Yamunotri glacier in the Himalayan. It flows parallel to the Gangas, and as a right bank tributaries meet the Ganga at Allahabad. The Ghagra and the Gandak and the Koshi rises in the Nepal Himalayan. They are the rivers which flood parts of the northern plains every year, causes the widespread damage to the life and the property, whereas they enrich the soil for the agricultural use. The main tributaries which come from the peninsular uplands are the Chambal and the Betwa and the Son. These rises from the semi-arid areas with shorter course and do not carry much water in them. Find out where and how they ultimately join the Ganga. Do you know the Namami Ganga program is an integrated conservation mission approved as a flagship program by the Union government in the June 2014 to accomplish the twin objective of effective abatement of pollution, conservation and the rejuvenation of the national river Ganga. You may explore about this project on this link. Enlarged with the waters from its right and left bank tributaries, the Ganga flow eastwards till Farakka in the West Bengal. This is the northernmost point of the Ganga Delta. The river bifurcates here and Bhagirathi Hooghly, a distributary, flows southward through the Deltanic plains to the Bay of Bengal, and the main stream flows southward in to the Bangladesh and joined by the Brahmaputra. Further downstream it is known as the Meghna. This mighty river with waters from the Ganga and the Brahmaputra flow into the Bay of Bengal. The delta formed by these rivers known as the Sundarban Delta. Do you know the Sundarban Delta derived its name from the Sundari tree which grows well in the marshland. It is the world's largest and the fastest growing delta. It is also home of the Royal Bengal tigers, and here mangrove forests are large quantity of mangrove forests are there in the Sundarban Delta. The length of the Ganga is over 2500 kilometers. Look at the figure 3.4. Can you identify the types of drainage system formed by the Ganga river system? Ambala is located on the water divide between the Indus and the Ganga river system. The plains from Ambala to the Sundarban stretch over nearly 1800 km, but the falls in its slope is hardly 300 meters. In other words, there is a fall of just 1 meter for every 600 km. Therefore, the river develops large meanders. The Brahmaputra river system. The Brahmaputra arises in Tibet east of the Mansarovar lake, very close to the sources of the Indus and the Satluj. It is slightly longer than the Indus and the most of its coast lies outside India. It flows eastward parallel to the Himalayas. On reaching the Namcha Barwa, which is 7,757 meters, it is a U-turn and enter India in Arunachal Pradesh through a gorge. Here it is called the Dihang and it is joined by the Dihang, the Lohit and the many other tributaries to form Brahmaputra in Assam. Brahmaputra is known as the Tisangpo in Tibet and Jamuna in Bangladesh. In Tibet, the river carries a smaller volume of water and lesser slit as it is cold and the dry area. In India, it passes through a region of high rainfall. Here, the river carries a large volume of water and considerable amount of slits. The Brahmaputra has a braided channel in its entire length in Assam and formed many riverine islands. Do you remember the name of world largest rhine island formed by the Brahmaputra? Manjuli, which is Manjuli. Every year during the rainy season, the river overflow its bank, causing widespread devastation due to the floods in Assam and Bangladesh. Unlike other North Indian rivers, the Brahmaputra is marked by the huge deposit of slits on its bed, causing the river beds to rise. The river also shifts its channel frequently. The Peninsular River. The main water divided in the peninsular India is formed by the Western Ghats, which runs from north to south close to the western coast. Most of the major rivers of the peninsula, such as Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri, flow eastward and they drain into the Bay of Bengal. These rivers make delta at their mouth. There are numerous small streams flowing west of the Western Ghats, the Narmada, the Tapti and the only long river which flow west and make estuaries and the drainage basin of Peninsular River are the contemporary smaller in the size. The Narmada Basin. The Narmada rises in the Amarkantak hills in Madhya Pradesh. It flows towards the west in a rift valley formed due to faulting on its way to the sea. The Narmada creates many picturesque locations. The Marble Rocks near Jabalpur, where the Narmada flows through a deep gorge, and the Dhonadhar Falls, where the river plunges over steep rocks, are the some of the notable ones. Do you know the Narmada River Conservation Mission has been undertaken by the government of Madhya Pradesh by the scheme name of Namami Devi Narmade. You may visit this website to learn about this. All the tributaries of the Narmada are very short and most of these join the main stream at right angles. The Narmada Basin cover part of the Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. The Tapi Basin. The Tapi rises in the Satpura ranges in the Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. It also flows in a rift valley parallel to the Narmada, but is much shorter in the length. Its basin covers part of the Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and the Maharashtra. The coastal plains between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea are very narrow. Hence, the coastal rivers are very short. The main west flowing rivers are Sabarmati, Mahi, Bharathupula, Periyar. Find out the states in which river drains in water. The Godavari Basin. The Godavari is the largest peninsular river. It rises from the slope of Western Ghats in the Nasik district of Maharashtra. Its length is about 1500 km. It drains into Bay of Bengal. Its drainage basin is also the largest among the peninsular rivers. The basin covers part of the Maharashtra. About 50% of the areas lies in the Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and the Andhra Pradesh. The Godavari joined by the number of tributaries such as Purna, Vardha and Prathiyatha, the Manjra, the Vainganga and the Penganga. The last three tributaries are very large because of its length and the area it's covered. It also known as the Dakshin Ganga. The Mahanadi Basin. The Mahanadi rises in the highlands of the Chhattisgarh. It flows through the Odisha to reach the Bay of Bengal. The length of the river is about 860 km. Its drainage basin is shared by the Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and the Odisha. The Krishna Basin. Rising from the spear near the Mahabaleshwar, the Krishna flows from about 400 km and reaches the Bay of Bengal. The Tungbhadra and the Konya and the Ghat Prabha, the Musi and the Bhima are the some tributaries of its drainage basin is shared by the Maharashtra, Karnataka and the Andhra Pradesh. The Kaveri Basin. The Kaveri rises in the Brahmari ranges of the Western Ghat and it reaches the Bay of Bengal in the south of the Kudalur in Tamil Nadu. The total length of the river is about 760 km. Its main tributaries are Amravati, Bhavani, Hemanta and the Kabini. Its basin drains part of Karnataka, Kerala and the Tamil Nadu. The river Kaveri makes the second biggest water in India, known as the Shivasamudram Falls. The hydroelectric power generated from the falls is supplied to Mysore, Bangalore and the Kolar goldfields. Find out the name of the biggest waterfalls. Indira Gandhi Falls, महात्मा गांधी फॉल्स, जॉग फॉल्स जिसे कहते हैं. Beside these major rivers, there are some smaller rivers flowing towards the east. The Damodar and the Bahmani and the Bhitarni and the Subranekha are the some notable examples. Locate them in your atlas. Do you know 71% of the world surface is covered with water, but 97% of water is salt water. Only 3% is available as fresh water. 3/4 of it trapped as ice. Lakes. 2/3 is ice, 2/3 of ice and the 1/3 is of groundwater. You may be familiar with the valley of the Kashmir and the famous Dal Lake, the houseboats and the shikaras which attract thousands of tourists every year. Similarly, you may have visited some other tourist spots near a lake, enjoy boating, swimming and other water games. Imagine that if Srinagar, Nainital and other tourist places did not have a lake, would they have been attractive as they are today? No. Have you ever been tried to know the importance of lakes in making a place attractive to a tourist? Apart from the attraction from tourists, lakes are also useful to human beings in many ways. Find out the lake of largest extents are called sea, like the Caspian and the Dead Sea and the Aral Sea. The India has many lakes. These differ from each other in the size and the other characteristics. Most lakes are permanent. Some contains water only during the rainy season. Like the lakes in the basin of inland drainage of semi-arid region, there are some lakes which are the result of the action of glacier and the ice sheets, while others have been formed by winds, rivers, actions and the human activities. Meandering rivers across a food plain form cutoff from their developed into Oxbow Lake, split and the bars from the lagoons in the coastal areas like Lake Chilka and Pulicat Lake and the Koleru Lake. Lakes in the region of inland drainage are sometimes seasonal. For example, the Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, which is a saltwater lake, its water is used for producing salt. Most of the fresh water are in the Himalayan region. They are of the glacial origin. In other words, they formed when glacier dug out the basin, which was later filled with the snow melts. The Vular Lake in Jammu and the Kashmir, in contrast, is the result of tectonic activity. It is the largest freshwater lake in India. The Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak and the Barapani are the some other example of freshwater lake. Loktak Lake in Manipur. Apart from natural lakes, the damming of the rivers for the generation of tidal power has also led to the formation of lakes such as Guru Gobind Sagar, Bhakra Nagar Dam and Satluj River. Lakes are of great value to human beings. A lake helps to regulate the flow of a river. During heavy rains, it prevents flooding, and during the dry season, it helps to maintain an even flow of water. Lake can also be used for developing hydel power. They moderate the climate of the surrounding mountain, maintain the aquatic ecosystem, enhance the natural beauty, helps develop tourism and provide recreation. Roles of river in the economy. Rivers have been of fundamental importance throughout the human history. Water from rivers is a basic natural resource essential for various human activities. Therefore, river banks have attracted settlers from ancient times. These settlements have now become big cities. Make a list of cities in your state which are located near the bank of river. बूढ़ी गंडक मुजफ्फरपुर, गंगा पटना. Using the river for irrigation, navigation, hydel power generation. Hydel power generation is of the special significance, particularly to a country like India, where agriculture is the major source of livelihood of the majority of its people. River pollution. The growing domestic, municipal, industrial and the agriculture demand for water from rivers naturally affect the quality of water. As a result, National River Conservation Program, the river cleaning program in the country, was initiated by the launching of the Ganga Action Plan GAP in 1985. The Ganga Action Plan was expanded to cover other rivers under the National River Conservation Plan in the year 1995. The objective of the National A river conservation program is to improve the water quality of the river, which are the major water source in the country, through the implementation of pollution abatement work. Result, more and the more water is being drained out of the river, reducing their value. On the other hand, a heavy load of untreated sewage and the industrial effluent are the emptied into the rivers. This affects not only the quality of water but also the self-cleansing capacity of a river. For example, given the adequate stream flow, the Ganga river is able to dilute the assimilate pollution load with the 20 km of large cities, but the increasing urbanization and the industrialization do not allow it to happen, and the pollution level of many rivers have been rising. The concern over rising pollution in our rivers led to the launching of the various action plans to clean the river. Have you heard about such plans? Clean the river project, Nami Gange, Narmada clean project. How does our health gets affected by the polluted river water? Think about the life of human beings without fresh water. Jammu and Kashmir. The river Narmada has its Amarkantak. The following lakes is a salt water lake: Buller Lake, Sambar Lake, Rajasthan में. Which one of the following is the longest river of the peninsular India? सबसे बड़ी पेनिनसुला इंडिया की गोदावरी, जिसे साउदर्न गंगा भी कहते हैं. Which one among the following river flow through a rift valley? Krishna. Climate. In the last two chapters you have read about the landforms and the drainage of our country. These are the two of the three basic elements that one learn about the natural environment of any area. In this chapter you will learn about the three, that is the atmospheric condition that prevail over our country. Why do we wear woolens in December, and why it is hot and uncomfortable in the month of May, and why it is rain in June and July? The answer to all these questions can be found out by studying about the climate of India. Climate refers to the sum of total of weather condition and the variation over a large area of a long period of time. More than 30 years, weather refers to the state of the atmosphere over an area of any point of time. The elements of weather and climates are the same, that is the temperature, atmosphere pressure, wind, humidity and precipitation. You may have observed that the weather condition fluctuate very often, even within a day, but there is some common pattern over a few weeks or months. That is, days are cool or hotter, windy or calm, cloudy or bright, and wet or dry. On the basis of the generalized month atmospheric condition, the year is divided into seasons such as winter, summer or rainy season. The world is divided into number of climate region. Do you know that type of climate region India and why it is so? Tropical, temperate and frigid zones. Tropical zone, which is on equator, and a temperate zone. India is on half on the tropical and half on the temperate zone. We will learn about this chapter. The word monsoon is derived from the Arabic word monsim, which literally means season. Monsoon refers to the seasonal reversal in the wind direction during a year. The climate of India is described as the monsoon type. In Asia, this type of climate is found mainly in the south and the southeast. Despite an overall unity in the general pattern, there are perceptible regional variation in the climatic condition within the country. Let us take two important elements: temperature and the precipitation and examine how they vary from place to place and season to season. In summer, the mercury occasionally touches 50 degrees Celsius in some part of the Rajasthan desert, whereas it may be around 20 degrees Celsius in the Pahalgam in Jammu Kashmir. On a winter night, the temperature of Dras in Jammu Kashmir may be low as the minus 45 degrees Celsius, where Thiruvananthapuram, which is in Kerala, on the other hand, may have temperature of 22 degrees Celsius positive. Do you know in certain places there is a wide difference between day and night temperatures? In Thar desert, the day temperature rises to 50 degrees Celsius and drop down to nearly 15 degrees Celsius in same night. On the other hand, there is hardly any difference in the day and night in the temperature of Andaman and Nicobar and the Kerala, because the boiling water don't cool and hot faster. That's why there are very less difference in the temperature of day and night. And the deserts, the soil which are cool faster and hot faster. Let us now look at the precipitation. There are variation not only in the form of and the types of precipitation, but also it is amount and the seasonal distribution. While precipitation is mostly in the form of snowfall in the upper parts of the Himalaya, it rain over the rest of the country. The annual precipitation varies from over 400 cm in Meghalaya to less than 10 cm in Ladakh. The western Rajasthan, most part of the country receive rainfall from June to September, but some part like Tamil Nadu coast get a large portion of its rain during the October and November returning monsoon. Due to in general, coastal areas experience less contrast in temperature conditions. Seasonal contrast are more in the interior of the country. There is a decrease in the rainfall generally from east to west in the northern plains. This variation have given rise to the variety in the lives of people in terms of food they eat and clothes they wear, and also the kind of houses they live. Houses have thick walls and the flat roofs in Rajasthan because of high heat. Why it is the house in the Tarain region and the Goa, Mangalore have sloping roofs because of hot weather. Why houses in Assam are built of slates? Because of rain. The climatic control, there are 6 major controls of the climate of any place. They are latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, ocean currents and the relief feature. Due to the curvature of the earth and the amount of solar energy received variation according to latitude, as a result air temperature generally decreases from the equator towards the poles. As one goes from the surface of the earth to higher latitude, the atmosphere becomes less dense and the temperature decreases. The hills are therefore cooler during summer, and the pressure and the winds of any area depend on the latitude and the altitude of the place. Thus it influence the temperature and the rainfall pattern. The sea extend a moderating influence on the climate. As the distance from the sea increases, its moderating influence decreases. The people experience extreme weather condition. This condition is known as continentally, that is very hot during summer and very cold during winters. Ocean currents along with the onshore winds affect the climate of the coastal areas. For example, any coastal areas with warm or cold currents flowing past it will be warm or the cool if the winds are on shore. Why the most of world deserts are located in western margin of continent in the subtropic? Because of winds and because of the precipitations not carried by, and because of cold ocean currents. Finally, reef to play an important role in determining the climate of a place. High mountain act as barrier for the cold and hot winds. They may also cause precipitation if they are high enough and lie in the path of rain-bearing winds, and the leeward side of mountain remains relatively dry. Subtropical high pressure winds. Subtropical high pressure winds and cold ocean currents are the examples why the western margin of continent in the subtropics are located in deserts. A factor affecting the India's climate: latitude. The Tropic of Cancer passes through the middle of the country from the run of Kutch in the west to Mizoram in the east. Almost half of the country lying south of the Tropic of Cancer belong to the tropical area. All remaining area north of the tropic lies to the subtropics. Therefore, India's climate has characteristics of the tropical as well as subtropical climates. Altitudes. India has mountains to the north which have an average height of about 6,000 meters. India also has a vast coastal areas where the maximum elevation is about 30 meters. The Himalayan prevent the cold winds from the Central Asia from entering the subcontinent, which is blizzard, which is ongoing in Russia. It is because of these mountains that the subcontinent experience comparatively milder winter as compared to Central Asia. Pressure and winds. The climate and associated weather conditions in India are governed by the following atmospheric condition: pressure and the surface winds, upper air circulation and the western cyclonic disturbance and the tropical cyclones. India lies in the region of northeasterly winds. These winds originated from the subtropical high pressure belt of the northern hemisphere. They blow southward, gets reflected to the right due to the Coriolis force, and move towards the equatorial low pressure areas. Generally, these winds carry little moisture as they originate from blow over land. Therefore, they bring little or no rain. Hence, India should have been in an arid land, but it is not so. Let us see why. Coriolis force, an apparently force caused by the earth rotation. The Coriolis force is responsible for deflecting wind towards the right in northern hemisphere and towards the left in the southern hemisphere. This is also known as Farrell's law. The pressure and the wind condition over India is unique. During winter, there is a high pressure areas north of the Himalayas. Cold, dry winds blow from this region to the low pressure areas. Over the ocean to the south in the summer, a low pressure areas develop over interior Asia as well as over northwest India. This causes a complete reversal in the direction of winds. During summer, air moves from the high pressure areas over southern Indian Ocean in a southeasterly direction, crosses the equator. They turn right towards the low pressure areas over the Indian subcontinent. These are known as the southwest monsoon winds. These winds blow over warm ocean, gather moisture and bring widespread rainfall over the mainland of India. The seasons. The monsoon type of climate is characterized by a distinct seasonal pattern. The weather conditions greatly change from one season to the other. These changes are particularly noticeable in the interior part of the country. The coastal areas do not experience much variation in temperature, through there is variation in rainfall pattern. How many seasons are experienced in your place? Summer, winter, rainy and spring season. Four main seasons are identified in India are the cold season, the hot weather season, the advancing monsoon and the retreating monsoon with some regional variation. The cold weather season, winter. The cold weather season brings from the mild November in the northern India and stay till February. December and January are the coldest month in the north part of India. The temperature decreases from south to the north, and the average temperature of Chennai on the eastern coast is between 25 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius, while in the northern plains it is ranges between 10 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius. Days are warm and nights are cold. Frost is common in the north, and the higher slopes of the Himalayan experience snowfall. During this season, the northeast trade winds prevail over the country. They blow from land to sea, and hence for most part of the country it is a dry season. Some amount of rainfall occur on the Tamil Nadu coast from these winds, as here they blow from sea to land. In the northern part of the country, a feeble high pressure region develops with light winds moving outwards from this area. Influenced by the relief, these winds blow through the Ganga Valley from the west and the northwest. The weather is normally marked by clear sky, low temperature and low humidity, and feeble variable winds. A characteristic feature of the cold weather season over the northern plains is the inflow of the cyclonic disturbance from the west and the northwest. These low pressure systems originate over the Mediterranean Sea and the West Asia and move into India. Along with the westerly flows, they cause the much needed and winter rains over the plains and snow is the mountain. Although the total amount of the winter rainfall is known as the Mahavat. In small, there are immense importance of the cultivation of rabi crop. The peninsular region does not have a well-defined cold season. There is hardly any noticeable season change in the temperature pattern during the winters due to the moderating influence of the sea, because sea water does not cool faster and does not hot faster. And many time in the year there were due to a sun they have hot season only, the hot weather season summer. Due to the apparently northward movement of the sun, the global hot belts shift northward. As such, from March to May it is no hot weather season in India. The influence of shifting of the heat belt can be seen clearly from the temperature recording taken during March May at different latitudes. In March, the highest temperature is about 38 degrees Celsius recorded on the Deccan Plateau. In April, temperature in Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh are around 42 degrees Celsius. In May, temperature of 45 degrees Celsius is common in the northwest part of the country. In peninsular India, temperatures remains lower due to the moderating influence of the ocean. The summer month experience rising temperature and the falling air pressure in the northern part of the country. Towards the end of the May, an elongated low pressure area develops in the region extending from the Thar Desert in the northwest to the Patna and Chota Nagpur Plateau, which is situated in the Jharkhand in the east and southeast. Circulation of air beings to the set in the around this trough. A striking feature of the hot weather season is to Lu, which is a hot wind in India. Locally it is called Lu. These are strong, gusty, hot, dry wind blowing during the day over the north and the northwest India. Sometimes they even continue until late in the evening. Direct exposure to these winds may even prove to be fatal. Dusty storms are very common during the month of May in North India. These storms bring temporary relief as they lower and the temperature and may bright light rains and cools breeze. This is also the season for localized thunderstorm associated with the violent winds, torrential downpours over accompanied by the hail in the West Bengal. These storms are known as Kala Bakshi. In West Bengal, locally hot winds are known as Kala Bakshi. Towards the close of the summer season, pre-monsoon showers are common, especially in the Kerala and the Karnataka. They help in the early reaping of mangoes and often referred to as mango shower. advancing monsoon, the rainy season. By early June, the low pressure condition over the northern plains intensifies. It attracts the trade winds of the northern hemisphere. These trade winds originate over the warm subtropical areas of the southern ocean. They crosses the equator and they blow in the southwesterly direction, entering in the Indian peninsula as the northwest monsoon. As the winds blow over the warm ocean, they bring abundant moisture to the subcontinent. These winds are strong and blow at an average velocity of 30 km per hour, with the exception of the extreme northwest. The monsoon winds cover the country in about a month. The inflow of the southwest monsoon into India brings about a total change in the weather. Early in the season, the windward side of the Western Ghats receive a very heavy rainfall, more than 250 centimeters. The Deccan Plateau and the parts of Madhya Pradesh also receive some amount of rainfall in spite of lying the rain shadow areas. The maximum rain of this season is received by the northeastern part of the country. Meosingram in the southern ranges in the Khasi Hills, which is in Meghalaya, receive the highest average rainfall in the world. Rainfall in the Ganga Valley decreases from the east to the west. Rajasthan and the parts of Gujarat are scantily rainfall. Another phenomena associated with the monsoon is its tendency to have break in the rainfall. Thus it has wet and dry spell. In the other words, the monsoon rain take place only for few days at a time.
ये रहा पापा पापा नहीं है माता पापा चलो बड़ा है तो इसे बंद करो कहानी बंद करा
पानी था ना
ठंडा
They are interspersed and rainless intervals. These breaks in the monsoon are related to the movement of the monsoon through. For various reasons, the trough and its axis keep on the moving northward or the southward, which determines the partial distribution of rainfall. When the axis of the monsoon trough lies over the plains, rainfall is good in these parts. On the other hand, whenever axis shifted close to the Himalayas, there are longer dry spell in the plains. The wider spread rain occurs in the mountainous catchment areas of the Himalayan river. These heavy rains bring in their wake devastating floods, causing damage to the life and poverty in the plains. The frequency and intensity of tropical depression too determine the amount of duration of monsoon rains. This depression form at the head of the Bay of Bengal and crosses over to the mainland. The depression flows the axis of the monsoon trough of low pressure. The monsoon is known for its uncertainties. The alteration of dry and wet spell vary in the intensity, frequency and duration. While it causes heavy floods in one part, it may be responsible for droughting in the other. It is often irregular in its arrival and its retreat. Hence, it sometimes disturbs the farming schedules of the millions of the farmers all over the country. Retreating post-monsoon, the transition season. During October to November, when the apparently movement of sun towards the south, the monsoon trough or the low pressure trough over the northern plains become weaker. This is gradually replaced by the high pressure system The southwest monsoon winds weakened and start withdrawing gradually. By the beginning of October, the monsoon withdraw from the northern plains. The month of the October-November forms a period of transition from hot rainy season to the dry winter condition. The retreat of the monsoon is marked by the clear sky and the rise in the temperature. Mossingram, the wettest place on the earth, is also reputed for its stalagmite and stalactite caves. Mossingram is in on the hills of Garo, and it is situated in Meghalaya, and the capital of Meghalaya is Shillong, also on the hills of the Garo Khasi Jaintia. While day temperatures are high, nights are cool, and the pleasant, the land is still moist. Owing to the conditions of high temperature and humidity, the weather becomes rather oppressive during the day. This is commonly known as October heat. In the second half of the October, the mercury begins to fall rapidly in the North India. The low pressure condition over northwestern India get transferred to the Bay of Bengal by early November. This shift is associated with the occurrence of conic depression which originate over the Andaman Sea. These cyclones generally cross the eastern coast of India, causes heavy and widespread rains. These tropical cyclones are often very destructive. The thickly populated deltas of Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri are frequently struck by cyclones, which causes great damage to the life and the property. Sometimes these cyclones arrive at the coast of Odisha, West Bengal and Bangladesh. The bulk of the rainfall of the Cardamodal coast is derived from the depressions and the cyclones. Distribution of rainfall: parts of the western coast and the northern eastern India receive over about 400 cm of rainfall annually. However, it is less than 60 cm in the west Rajasthan and adjoining parts of the Gujarat. Haryana and the Punjab rainfall is equally low in the interior of the Deccan Plateau and east in the Sahyadris. Why do these regions receive low rainfall? A third area of low precipitation is around Leh and Jammu and Kashmir. The area of countries receive moderate rainfall. Snowfall is restricted to the Himalayan region. Owing to the nature of the monsoon, the annual rainfall is highly variable from year to year. Variability is high in the region of low rainfall, such as part of Rajasthan, Gujarat and the leeward side of the Western Ghats. As such, wide areas of high rainfall are liable to be affected by the floods. Areas of low rainfall are drought prone. Monsoon as a unifying bond. You have already known that the ways the Himalayas protect the subcontinent from extremely cold winds from the Central Asia. This enables northern India to have uniformly high temperature comparable to other areas to the same latitude. Similarly, the peninsular plateau, under the influence of the sea from three sides, has moderate temperature. Despite such, this is newspaper cutting. Moderating influence, there are great variation in the temperature condition. Nevertheless, the unifying influence of the monsoon on the Indian subcontinent is quite perceptible. The seasonal alteration of wind system and the associated weather condition provide a rhythmic cycle of the season. Even the uncertainties of the rain and uneven distribution are very much typical of the monsoon. The Indian landscape, its animal and the plant life, its entire agriculture calendar and the life of people, including their festivals, revolve around this phenomena. Year after year, people of India from the north to south and from the east to west eagerly await the arrival of monsoon. These monsoon winds bind the whole country by providing water to set the agricultural activity in motion. The river valleys which carry this water also unite as a single river valley unit. Mawsyngram, highest number of rainfall, which is located in Meghalaya and Garo Hills. The wind blowing in the northern plains in summer known as northern plains Lu. Monsoon arrives in approximately in June-July. Which one of the following characteristics the cold weather season in India? Cold weather season in India: warm days and cold night. Warm days and warm nights. आंसर दी फॉलोइंग, ये सब तो इजी होता है. Natural vegetation and wildlife. Have you observed the types of trees, bushes, grasses and birds in the fields? Birds in the field and parks in and around your school, they are very similar or they are variation. India being a vast country, you can imagine the types of bioforms available throughout the country. Our country India is one of 12 mega biodiversity country of the world. With about 45,000 plant species, in India occupy 10th place in the world and 4th in the Asia in plant diversity. There are about 15,000 flowering plants in India, which account for 6% in the world's total number of flowering plants. The country has many non-flowering plants such as ferns, algae and the fungi. India also has approximately 90,000 species of animals as well as a rich variety of fish in its fresh and marine waters. Natural vegetation refers to a plant community which has grown naturally without human aid and has been left undisturbed by human beings for a long time. This is termed as the virgin vegetation. Thus, cultivated crops and the fruits or child form part of the vegetation but not natural vegetation. Do you know the virgin vegetation which are purely Indian are known as the endemic or indigenous species, but those which are come from the outside India are termed as exotic plants. The term flora is used to denote plants of a particular region or period. Similarly, the species of animals are referred to as fauna. Types of vegetation. The following major type of vegetation may be identified in our countries: tropical evergreen forest, tropical deciduous forest which is large quantity in India, tropical thorn forest and shrubs, mountain forest and mangrove forest which is found in the Sundarban Delta of West Bengal. Tropical evergreen forest. These forests are restricted to heavy rainfall areas of the Western Ghats and the island groups of Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar, upper parts of the Assam and Tamil Nadu coast. They are at their best in the areas having more than 200 cm of rainfall with a short dry season. The trees reaches great height up to 60 meters and even above. Since the region is warm and wet throughout the year, it has a luxuriant vegetation of all kinds, trees, shrubs and creeps, giving its multi-layered structure. There is no definite time for trees to shed their leaves. As such, these forests appear green all the year. around. Some of the commercial importance trees of this forest are ebony, mahogany, rosewood, rubber, and the chichona. The common animals found in these forests are elephant, monkey, lemur, and deers. One-horned rhinoceros are found in the jungles of Assam, Kaziranga Park, and West Bengal. Beside these animals, plenty of birds, bats, sloths, scorpions, and snails are found also in these jungles.
वाईफाई का पासवर्ड
RANJN603
छोटा वाला आर
सब छोटा. Tropical deciduous forests. These are the most widespread forests of India. They are also known as monsoon forest and spread over the region, receiving rainfall between 200 centimeter and 17 centimeter. Trees of this forest type shed their leaves for about 6 to 8 weeks in dry summer. On the basis of availability of water, these trees are further divided into moist and the dry deciduous. The former is found in areas receiving rainfall between 200 and 100 centimeter. This forest exists therefore mostly in the eastern part of the country, northeastern state, along the foothills of Himalayas, Jharkhand, West Odisha and Chhattisgarh, and on the eastern slope of the Western Ghats. Teaks is the most dominated species of this forest. Bamboos, sal, shisham, sandalwood, kher, kusum, arjun and mulberry are other commercial importance species. The dry deciduous forests are found in the areas having rainfall between 100 centimeter and 70 centimeter. These forests are found in the rainer part of the peninsular plateau and the plains of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. There are often stretches in which teak, sal, peepal and the neem grown. A large part of this region have been cleared for cultivation and some parts are used for grazing. In this forest, the common animal found are lion, tiger, pig, deer and elephant. A huge variety of birds, lizards, snakes and tortoises are also found here. The thorn forest and shrubs. The thorn forest and shrubs. In region with the less than 70 centimeter of rainfall, the natural vegetation consists of thorny trees and these are tropical evergreen forest, फिर tropical deciduous forest, mountain forest in mountaining region, mangrove forest in the coastal areas and tropical thorn forest in the deserts and plateau regions. Bushes. This type of vegetation is found in the northern west part of the country, including semi-arid areas of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana. Acacias, palm, Europeans and catati are the main plant species. Trees are scattered and have long roots penetrating deep into the soil. In order to get moisture, the stems are circulated to conserve water. Leaves are mostly thick and small to minimize evaporation. These forests gave way to thorn forest and shrubs in arid areas. In these forests, the common animals are rat, mice, rabbit, fox, wolf, tiger, lion, wildlife, horses and camels. Forest. Mountain forest. In mountainous areas, the decrease in the temperature with the increased altitude leads to the corresponding changes in the natural vegetation, such as there is an succession of natural vegetation belt in the same order as be seen from the tropical to the tundra region. The wet temperature types of the forest are found between the height of 1000 and the 2000 meters. Evergreen broadleaf trees such as oaks and the chestnuts predominated between 1500 and 3000 meter. Temperate forest containing coniferous trees like pine, deodar, silver fern, spruce and kedar are found. These forests covered mostly the southern slopes of the Himalayas, places having high altitude in southern region and northeast India's. At higher elevation, temperate grassland are common. At higher altitude, generally more than 3600 meters above the sea level, temperature forest and grassland gave way to alpine vegetation. Silver fern, junipers, pines and beeches are the common trees of these forests. However, they get progressively strand as they approaches the snow line. Ultimately, through the shrubs and scrubs, they merged into the alpine grassland. These are used extensively for grazing by nomadic tribes like the Gujars and the Bakrwals. At higher altitude, mosses and the lichens form a part of the tundra's vegetation. The common animal found in these forests are Kashmir stag, spotted deer, wild sheep, jacks, rabbits, Tibetan antelopes, yaks, snow leopard, squirrels, shaggy horn, wild ibike, bear and rare red panda, sheep and goats with thick hair. Mangrove forest. The mangrove tidal forests are found in the areas of coastal influenced by tides. Mud and sleet get accumulated on such coast dens. Mangrove are the common variety with the roots of the plant submerged underwater. The deltas of Ganga, Mahanadi, the Krishna, the Godavari and the Kaveri are covered by such vegetation. In the Ganga, the elephants are the most majestic animal among the mammals. They are found into the hot wet forest of Assam, Karnataka and Kerala. Bunghorn rhinoceros are the other animals which live in the swampy and the marshy land of Assam and West Bengal. Arid areas of the Rann of Kutch and the Thar deserts are habitat for wild ass and camels respectively. Indian bison, nilgai, blue bull, चौदह सिंगा four horn antelope, gazelle and different species of deer are some other animals found in India. It is also a different species of deer are some other animals found in India. It is also a several species of monkeys. Do you know wildlife protection and implemented in 1932 in India? India is the only country in the world that has both tiger and lions. The natural habitat of Indian lion is Gir forest in Gujarat. Tigers are found in the forest of Madhya Pradesh, the Sundarbans of the West Bengal and the Himalayan region. Leopards too are the members of the cat family. They are important among animal prey. Do you know Gir forest is the last remaining habitat of the Asiatic lions? The Himalayan harbor, a hardly range of Himalayan which survive in the extreme cold. Ladakh, freezing high altitudes are a home to yak, the Shangi horn wild ox weighing around 1 ton, the Tibetan antelopes, the Baharal blue sheep, wild sheep and the Kiang Tibet wild ass. Furthermore, the ibex, bear, snow leopards and the rare red panda are found in the certain pockets. In the rivers, lakes, and the coastal areas, turtles, crocodiles, and the gharials are found. The latter is the only representative of the variety of the crocodile found in the world today. Bird life in India is colorful. Peacock, peasants, ducks, parakeets, cranes, and pigeons are some of the birds inhabiting the forest and wetlands of the country. We have selected our crops from a biodiverse environment, that is the reserve of edible plants. We also experimented and selected many medicinal plants. The animal were selected from the large stock provided by nature as milch animals. They also provide us the drought power, transportation, meat and egg. The fish provide nutritive foods. Many insects help in the pollination of crops and fruits trees, and exerting biological control on such insect is harmful. Every species has a role to play in the environment. Environment in the ecosystem. Hence, conservation is essential, as have been mentioned earlier. Due to the excessive exploitation of plants and animals resources by human beings, the ecosystem has been disturbed. About 1300 plant species are endangered and 20 are extinct. Quite a few animal species are also endangered and have some become extinct. The main cause for this major threat to nature are hunting by greedy hunters for commercial purpose, pollution due to the chemical and industrial waste, acid deposits, introduction by alien species, and the reckless cultivating of forest to bring land under cultivation and habitation are also responsible for imbalance. To protect the flora and fauna of the country, the government has taken many steps. Eighteen biosphere reserves have been set up in the country to protect flora and fauna. 12 out of them, the Sundarbans, Nanda Devi, the Gulf of Mannar, the Neemgiri, Nokrek, Great Nicobar, Sipli, Panchmiri, Ancham Marg, Amarkantak, Ashthaya Malai, Kanches, Dunga, and the Panna have been included in the World Network of Biosphere Reserve. 8 biosphere reserves: Sundarbans, Similipal, Gulf of Mannar, Dihang, Nilmgiri, Dibru Sikhoya, Nanda Devi, Ashtmalai, Nokrek, Kanchanchkoya, Great Nicobar, Panchmirihi, Mansa, Anchang Mar or Amarkantak, Kutch, Cold Desert, Shishchalam, Panna. Financial and the technical assistance is provided to many botanical gardens by government since 1992. Tiger Project, Project Rhino, Project Great Indian Bustard, and many other eco-development projects have been introduced. 103 National Park, 563 wildlife sanctuaries, and the zoological garden are set up to take care of natural heritage. All of us must realize the importance of the natural ecosystem for our own survival. It is the impossible if the indiscriminate destructions of natural environment is put to an immediate end. Migratory birds. Some of the wetlands of India are popular with the migratory birds. During winter, birds such as Siberian crane come from a large numbers. One such place favorable with the birds is Ran of Kutch, at a place where the deserts merge with the sea. Flamingo with their brilliant pink pluming come in the thousand to build nest mounds from the salty muds and raise their young ones. It is one among many extraordinary sights in the country. It is not a rich natural heritage of ours. Population. Can you imagine a world without human beings who would have been utilize the resources and create social and cultural development? Social and cultural environment. The peoples are important to develop the economy and the society. The people make and use resources and are themselves resource with the varying quality. Coal is but a piece of rock until peoples were able to invert technology to obtain it and the make it resources. Natural events like a flood or a tsunami become a disaster only when they affect a crowded village or a town. Hence, population is the pivotal element in the social studies. It is the point of reference from which all the other elements are observed from and from which they are derived significance and meaning. Resources, calamities and disaster are all meaningful only in the relation to the human beings. Their number, distribution, growth and the characteristics or qualities provided the basic background for the understanding and the appreciating all the aspect of the environment. Human beings are producers and the consumers of the earth resources. Therefore, it is important to know how many peoples are there in the country, where do they live, and how and why their numbers are increasing and what are their characteristics. The census of India provides us the information regarding the population of our country. Population size and the distribution. India's population size and distribution by numbers. India population on the March 2011 stood at 1.210.6 billion, which count for 17.5% of the world population. These 1.21 billion peoples are evenly distributed over our country vast area of 3.28 million square kilometer, which accounts for 2.4% of world's area. The 2011 census data reveals that the Uttar Pradesh, with a population size of 199 million, is the most populous state of India. Uttar Pradesh accounts for about 16% of the country's population. On the other hand, the Himalayan state of Sikkim has a population of just about 0.6 million. Of Lakshadweep has only 64,429 people. Almost half of Indian populations live in just 5 states like Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan. The biggest state in terms of area has only 5.5% of the total population of India. Geography. A census is an official enumeration of population done periodically in India. The first census was held in the year of 1872. The first census, however, taken in the year 1881 by Lord Ripon. Since then, censuses have been held regularly every 10th year. The Indian census is the most comprehensive source of demographic, social, economic data. Have you ever seen a census report? Check in your library if you've done it. Population density provides a better picture of the uneven distribution. Population density is calculated as the number of peoples per unit area. India is the one of the most densely populated countries of the world. Do you know only Bangladesh and Japan have higher average population density than India? Find out the population density of Bangladesh and Japan. The population density of India in the year 2001 was the 382 person per square kilometer. Density varies from 1102 person per square kilometer in Bihar to only 17% people per square kilometer in Andhra Pradesh. A study of figure 6.3 show the pattern of uneven distribution of population density at state level, with maximum Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, then Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Gujarat, Odisha, Kerala, Jharkhand, Assam, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Delhi, Kashmir, Uttarakhand and other states and union territories 2%. In 2011 census, maximum density is Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal. Activity. Note the states with population density below 250% per square kilometer. Rugged terrain and unfavorable climate conditions are primarily responsible for a sparsely population in these states. Which states are densely below 250% per square kilometer? Assam and the most of the peninsular states have moderate population density. Hilly districts and the rocky nature of the terrain, moderate to low rainfall, shallow and the less fertile soil have influenced population densities in these areas. The northern plains and the Kerala in the south have high to very high population densities because of the flat plains with the fertile soils and the abundant rainfall. Identify the three states of the northern plains with the high population density. Population growth and the progress of population changes. Population is the dynamic phenomena. The number, distribution and the composition of the population are constantly changing. This is the influence of the interaction of the three processes, namely birth, death and migration. Population growth. Growth of the population refers to the change in the number of inhabitants of the country, territory during the specific period of time. Say, during the last 10 years, such a change can be expressed in the two ways, in terms of absolute numbers and in terms of percentage change per year. The absolute numbers added each year or decade in the magnitude of increasing. It is obtained by the simply subtracting the early population example, that of the 2001, from the later population example, that of 2011. It is referred to the absolute increase. The rate or the place of population increase is the other important aspect. It is a study in the percentage per annum. Example, a rate of decrease of 2% of per annum means that in a given year there was an increase of 2% per every 100% in the base population. This is referred to as annual growth rate. India population has steadily increasing from 361 million to in 1951 to 1 to 10 million in 2011. Table 6. The magnitude and the rate of India's population growth. Year 1951, 361 million and the with an annual growth rate of approximate 2. Table 6.1 in the figure 6.8, 6.4b reveals that from 1951 to 1981, the annually rate of population growth was steadily increasing. This explains the rapid increase in the population from 361 million in 1951 to 683 million in 1981. Table 6.3 reveals that despite the decline in the growth state, the number of peoples being added every decade in steady increasing. Since 1981, however, the rate of growth started declining gradually. During this period, the birth rates declined rapidly. Still 182 million people were added to the total population in the 1990s, along an annual addition larger than ever people. It is essential to realize that the India has a very large population. When a low annual rate is applied to a very large population, it yields a large absolute increase. When more than a billion peoples increase, even at low rate, the total number being added becomes very large. India's annual increase in the population is largely enough to neutralize efforts to conserve the resources, endowment and the environment. The declining trend of the growth rate is indeed a positive indicator of the efforts of birth control. Despite that, the total addition to the population base continue to grow in India. Percentage decadal growth rate. In 2010, currently we crosses the China. May over China in 2045 to become the most populous country in the world. Progress of population change and growth. There are three main processes of change of population: birth rate, death rate, and the migration. The natural increase of population in the difference between birth rate and the death rate. Birth rate is the number of lives per thousand person in a year. It is a major component of growth because in India birth rates have always been higher than death rates. Death rate is the number of death per thousand person in a year. The main cause of death rate of growth of Indian population has been rapid decline in death rate. Till 1980, birth rates and the declining death rates led to a large difference between birth rate and the death rate, resulting in the higher rates of population growth. Since 1981, birth rates also have started declining gradually, resulting a gradually decline in the rate of population growth. What is the reason for this trend? The third component of population growth is migration. Migration is the movement of people across the region and the territories. Migration can be internal with a country or the international between the countries. Internal migration does not change the size of population but influence the distribution of population within the nation. Migration plays a very significant role in the changing the composition and the distribution of population. In India, most migrants have been found from the rural to urban areas because of the push factor in the rural areas. These are adverse conditions of poverty and unemployment in the rural areas and the pull of the city in terms of increased employment opportunities and the better living condition. Migration is an important determinant of the population change. It change not only in the population size but also the population composition of the urban and the rural population in terms of age and the composition. In India, the rural-urban migration has resulted in a steady increase in the percentage of population in cities and towns. The urban population has increased from 17.29% of the total population in 1951 to 3.80% in 2011. There have been a significant increase in the number of million plus cities from 35 to 53 in just one decade, that is 2001 to 2011. Adolescents population. The most significant feature of Indian population is the size of its adolescents population. It is constituent 1/5 of the total population of India. Adolescents are the generally grouped in the people between 10 to 19. They are the most important resources for the future. Nutrition requirements of adolescents are higher than those of normal child or adult. Poor nutrition can lead to deficiency and the stunted growth, but in India the diet available to the adolescents is inadequate in all nutrition. A large number of adolescent girls suffer from anemia. Their problems have so far not received adequate attention in the process of development. The adolescent girls have to be sensitized to the problems they confront. Aware among them can be improved through the spread of literacy and education. National population policy. Recognizing that the planning of families would improve individuality, health and the welfare, the government of India initiated a comprehensive family planning program in 1952. The family planning program has sought to promote responsible and planned parenthood on the voluntary basis. The National Population Policy MPP in 2000 is a culmination of the year of planning efforts. The NPP 2000 provides a policy framework for imparting free and compulsory school education up to 14 years of age, reducing infant mortality rate to below 30 per 1000 live birth, achieving universal immunization of children against all vaccine preventable disease, promoting decade marriage for girls and making family welfare a people-centered program. These are some keywords. And book is over. Book is over.